The 1983 Hokuto no Ken manga always had elements of the Mad Max sequel, The Road Warrior. The ruined setting of Mad Max 2 was caused by war, reducing resources such as food and water, and the desperate need of gasoline and weapons. Fist of the North Star opens his story with a prologue of the nuclear apocalypse which occurred in the mysterious 1990X.
1990X 年世界は核の炎に包まれた
The first chapter and episode makes it perfectly clear that money is obsolete, and the true treasures are food and H2O. Further adding resemblance to the Road Warrior are the numerous Mohawk bandits and a hero who emerges from the wasteland. Even Kenshiro's initial attire is undeniably modeled after Max's uniform, such as the detail of only wearing a single shoulder pad. Despite meeting many people who were affected by the apocalypse, Fist of the North Star never gives a proper answer to its world history, at least, not in the anime. During Chapter 15 of the God's Army arc, or the Golan arc, the villain simply named the Colonel actually gives a response to the cause of the nuclear assault. Prior to 1990X, the Colonel was head of the Red Berets and was a patriot to the likely red, white, and blue. One day, he stumbled on his general in a drunken stupor, partying with other influential leaders. The colonel is then mocked by the general, claiming the Red Beret's special training dwindles in comparison to his single finger, a finger that can annihilate their enemies with a push of a button. The colonel felt disgusted at the attitude of his superiors, believing the Red Berets were sacrificing themselves for nothing. As an ongoing war persisted, the general and others thought that the best way to save their money was to put an immediate end to the war. The button was pushed. In their greed and stupidity, they have brought havoc to the once nourished Earth. The ones who brought upon the nuclear strike were now dead, but the colonel and the Red Berets survived. Seeing this as a sign from above, the colonel thought that he and his troops were chosen by God, therefore rebranding themselves as God's Army. Adding more character to the villainous colonel, he mentions that mankind can't make the same mistake twice, and is believed to avoid complete destruction. All of humanity must be led by a single force, being the ones chosen by God. In the 1984 anime adaptation, the colonel's explanation is removed from the story, and since they debuted earlier than intended, the Golan army were rewritten to be part of Shin's army, therefore also changing their god to the main villain Shin, also known as Lord King.
I take my orders from God, that God.
I don't know the reason why this vital detail was removed from the anime adaptation, but the wiki Hokuto Renki Toza states it was due to political issues. It's a possibility, as a similar alteration occurred with the 2001 Baki the Grappler anime. Episode 48 opens with a disclaimer, and the dialogue never specifies Yujiro being part of the Vietnam War. On the subject of war, in the far future in the Fist of the North Star 2 storyline, a slight detail to the world history is shared. In chapter 177, the villain Han mentions 25 years before 1990X that the land of Ashura was overrun by a powerful military force that was on the verge of disappearing. This implies that this attack may have been a last-ditch effort of winning the war, but it doesn't get elaborated any further than that.
20数年前のことだ。この国は強力な軍事国家に侵略され、もはや滅亡寸前だ。
By the end of the Golan arc, the colonel's methods for murder, conquest, and selective breeding are proven wrong. By defeating the colonel, Kenshiro has freed the people from the tyranny of God's army, but he also learned what started the nuclear apocalypse of 1990X. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. The Lost Devilman OVA is being worked on, but in the meantime, the next video may consist of Dororo, Thundercats, or something else. I'm the anime hero, and Fist of the North Star is my favorite anime.
Why don't you seize whatever you want? You could be our gods, but you waste your power. God will destroy you for this insolence. Ah!